Hello everyone, it's the Dyslexic Lego over here, and today is the final part of building the Lego Rivendell set. It's been a long journey and I'm super excited to get this finished up and to share it with you all. So today there were only 3 instructional booklets that came with this set, so for part 4 I'm going to be sharing some information from TolkienGateway.net, which is the same website that I shared information from when I did the character brickheads. So this is the page about Rivendell. So it starts with a quote from the Silmarillion. And the house of Elrond was a refuge for the weary and the oppressed, and a treasury of good counsel and wise lore. So Rivendell, or Imladris, was an elven outpost in the Misty Mountains on the eastern edge of Eriador. Due to its location, it was called the last homely house from the point of view of a traveler going to the Misty Mountains and Wilderland, and also the first homely house from the point of view of someone coming from these lands to the civilized lands of Eriador to the west. It was established by Elrond in the year SA 1697 as a refuge from Sauron after the fall of Eregion. It remained Elrond's seat throughout the remainder of the Second Age until the end of the Third Age, when he took the White Ship to Valinor. Rivendell had a strong alliance with the kings of Arnor, and after the fall of Arthedian, it became a refuge for the Rangers of the North and their heir of Isildur. So some geography. Rivendell was located at the edge of a narrow gorge of the Bruinen River, but well hidden in the moorlands and foothills of the Misty Mountains. Pine trees grew on the top of the valley, and there was a steep zigzag path to the valley bottom. The vegetation in the valley bottom was mostly oak and beech. So, history, the Second Age. During the War of the Elves and Sauron, and as Sauron was moving against Eriador, Elrond led an army of elves of Lindon to the region. They arrived late but were joined by a detachment out of Eregion led by Celeborn. Despite this, Sauron's armies overwhelmed the elves, and Elrond was unable to reach Eregion. Forced northward toward the headwaters of Bruinen, Elrond established a stronghold. This became a refuge for those seeking shelter from Sauron's onslaught in Eriador, and Elrond's and Celeborn's elves were soon joined by many fleeing the sack of Eregion. More came as Sauron ravaged Eriador on his march toward Lindon. By the year SA 1700, Sauron had overrun all of Eriador, and Imladris was besieged. The siege ended when Gil-galad's forces, strengthened by the armament sent by Tar Minastir, routed Sauron's armies and drove him out of Eriador. A council held at that time made Elrond Gil-galad's vice-regent in Eriador and Imladris his seat. Gil-galad bestowed Vilya upon Elrond in secret. Aided by the power of the Elven Ring, Elrond made Imladris one of the chief seats of elvish strength in the west in the latter part of the Second Age. Imladris remained an elvish stronghold in Eriador to the end of the Second Age and into the Third. Last Alliance. At the end of the Second Age, Elendil and Gil-galad formed the last alliance of elves and men to challenge Sauron, and their host halted for a while at Imladris in the year SA 3431, and they stayed there for 3 years, gathered their forces before crossing the Misty Mountains. Isildur's wife and his youngest son, Valandil, were in Imladris at that time, and Isildur was journeying back to them after Sauron's defeat when he was ambushed at the Gladen Fields. After receiving the shards of Narsil, Valandil took up his role as king of Arnor and left Imladris for Inuminas. The Third Age. After the fall of Gil-galad, Elrond remained in Imladris. During the Third Age, it was a refuge and sanctuary. Many elves gathered there, and it was the chief dwelling of the High Elves in Eriador, except the elves of Lindon, but also wise and powerful people of all the races. Most of the elves who lived in Rivendell were High Elves. The heirs of Isildur were also harbored there due to their kinship with Elrond as descendants of his brother Elros. Danger came to Eriador around the year TA 1300 when Angmar was established in the northeast beyond the Etten Moors. It was late in the reign of Arveleg I that Rivendell was besieged by Angmar. After an incursion by Angmar into Eriador in the year TA 1409, the elves of Rivendell joined those of Lindon and the Galadhirim, whom Elrond brought over the mountains, in subduing the power of the Witch King for many years. After the end of the North Kingdom in the year TA 1975, Aranarth, the first chieftain of the Dunedain, had his son fostered in Rivendell, as were all subsequent sons of the chieftains. The heirlooms and treasures of the House of Isildur, including the shards of Narsil, were also kept there after Arvendui's death. Among these were also some of the few remaining documents containing the history of Numenor. There was traffic across the Misty Mountains in the Third Age between Imladris and Lothlorien, for Elrond's wife was Celebrian, daughter of Galadriel and Celeborn. In the quest of Erebor, Bilbo Baggins stopped off at Rivendell with the dwarves on the way to the Lonely Mountain, and also on the way back to the Shire with Gandalf. Bilbo retired there after his 111th birthday, writing his memoir, There and Back Again. Years later, Frodo Baggins and his companions journeyed to Rivendell, where they met Bilbo. Several other elves, dwarves, and men had also arrived at Rivendell on separate errands. At the Council of Elrond, they learned that all of their errands were related to the fate of the One Ring, and they had to decide what to do about it. In the end, the hobbits influenced the decision. Following the destruction of the One Ring at the end of the Third Age, Elrond's ring lost its power, and Elrond with many of his household left Rivendell to sail for Valinor from the Grey Havens. This marked the start of the Fourth Age. Later history. Although Elrond departed from Rivendell, Elladan and Elrohir remained for a while with some of the remaining Noldor. It is believed that Celeborn also relocated to Rivendell after the departure of Galadriel, and having also grown weary of East Lorien. It is not known when Rivendell was finally abandoned, but shortly before Aragorn died in the year FOA 120, he said to Arwen that none now walk in the Garden of Elrond, indicating that the last of the Noldor had departed to Valinor. Thank you for listening and learning with me, and as always, please enjoy the rest of the video. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye!